Welcome to Shadows of Crime, where we dive deep into history's darkest and most chilling mysteries. Today, we unravel one of Germany's most haunting, unsolved cases, the Hinterkaifeck murders. Stay with us as we explore the eerie details of this century-old crime. In 1922, an isolated farm in rural Germany became the setting for one of the most haunting, unsolved mysteries in history. 6 members of the Gruber family were brutally murdered in the quiet town of Hinterkaifeck. But what makes this case truly chilling? The killer didn't simply vanish into the night. Evidence suggests they may have stayed on the property for days, eating the family's food and caring for their livestock, right under the noses of suspicious neighbors. Footsteps in the snow led to the farmhouse, but there were none leading away. Strange sounds had been reported from the attic days before the crime. Was someone already lurking inside, waiting to strike? Who could commit such a heinous act and disappear without a trace? And what dark secrets lay hidden within the walls of Hinterkaifeck? This is the story of the Hinterkaifeck murders, a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. The Gruber family of Hinterkaifeck lived a quiet and reclusive life on their remote farm in Bavaria, Germany. The family consisted of Andreas Gruber, the 63-year-old patriarch, his wife Cecilia, their widowed daughter Victoria, and Victoria's 2 young children, 7-year-old Cecilia and 2-year-old Josef. Life on the Hinterkaifeck farm was far from idyllic. Andreas was known to be a harsh and domineering man whose relationship with his daughter Victoria was the subject of disturbing rumors. Local whispers suggested allegations of incest, casting a dark shadow over the family's already isolated existence. Despite this, Victoria remained on the farm with her children, enduring both the isolation and the secrets that seemed to plague the household. It was a family held together by necessity rather than warmth. Just days before the murders, the Grubers hired a new maid, Maria Baumgartner. She arrived at Hinterkaifeck on March 31, 1922, unaware that her first night in the farmhouse would also be her last. Life on the farm was marked by seclusion, tension, and dark rumors, an unsettling prelude to the horrifying events that would soon unfold. In the days leading up to the murders, the Gruber family began to notice strange and unexplainable occurrences on their farm. These eerie events hinted at a looming danger, though no one could have imagined the tragedy that awaited. Andreas Gruber discovered a single set of footprints in the snow leading toward the farmhouse from the nearby woods, but there were no footprints leaving. It was as though someone had arrived and never left. At night, the family reported hearing unsettling noises. Footsteps echoed from the attic, and doors creaked open without explanation. Even their previous maid quit in fear, convinced the farm was haunted. Either way, they found shelter. On the morning of March 31, a new maid, Maria Baumgartner, arrived at Hinterkaifeck. She had no idea her first day of work would also be her last. That evening, all 6 victims, Andreas, Cecilia, Victoria, her 2 children, and Maria, were brutally murdered. Most were lured to the barn, where they met their grim fate, one by one. The killer then entered the house and finished the massacre, leaving no witnesses behind. What led someone to commit such a heinous crime? And why did they seem to linger at the farm for days after the murders? For days after the murders, neighbors noticed something strange, smoke rising from the farmhouse chimney, but no sign of life. Concerned by the eerie silence, they decided to investigate. What they found inside the barn shocked them to their core. The bodies of Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their daughter Victoria, and her young daughter Cecilia were stacked on top of one another, partially covered with hay. Inside the house, they discovered 2 more victims, 2-year-old Josef, brutally murdered in his crib, and the new maid, Maria Baumgartner, found in her room. But perhaps the most chilling detail was what the neighbors noticed next. The farm's animals had been fed, fresh food was missing from the kitchen, and smoke from the chimney suggested someone had stayed on the farm long after the murders. Who could commit such a horrific act and remain at the scene, undetected, for days? The discovery raised more questions than answers. When authorities arrived at the Hinterkaifeck farm, they were faced with one of the most perplexing cases they had ever encountered. Despite the gruesome scene, there was little evidence pointing to the killer. The murder weapon, a mattock, a farming tool, was discovered on the property. But beyond this, investigators were left with more questions than answers. Adding to the mystery, Victoria Gruber had withdrawn a large sum of money just days before the murders. Strangely, it was left untouched. Perhaps the most chilling detail was revealed in the autopsy. Young Kazelia had survived for hours after the attack. In her agony, she had pulled out tufts of her own hair, a haunting testament to the horror of that night. Witnesses reported eerie signs in the days following the murders. Smoke rising from the chimney, sounds of footsteps, and even muffled voices from within the house. It was as if the killer had made himself at home. Who could commit such a horrific crime and remain on the property, blending into the daily rhythms of farm life? The clues only deepened the mystery. As investigators struggled to piece together the events at Hinterkaifeck, a web of theories and suspects emerged, each as chilling as the last. Some pointed fingers at a former farmhand, rumored to hold a grudge against Andreas Gruber. Known for his harsh treatment of workers, Andreas might have created enemies close to home. Another theory centers on Victoria Gruber's troubled personal life. She had been entangled in a bitter legal battle with a man suspected to be Josef's biological father. Could this dispute have turned deadly? Post-World War I, Germany was rife with instability. Displaced soldiers and drifters roamed the countryside, some desperate and dangerous. Perhaps an opportunistic stranger stumbled upon the isolated farm. For some locals, the gruesome murders were not of earthly origin. Whispers of a curse or haunting added an unsettling layer to the mystery. Could the strange occurrences leading up to the murders have been warnings of a darker force at work? Each theory raises more questions than answers. Were the Grubers victims of human malice, or something beyond comprehension? The Hinterkaifeck murders remain etched in Germany's history as one of its most chilling and unsolvable mysteries. Nearly a century later, the case continues to haunt investigators and fascinate those captivated by the unknown. The brutality of the crime shocked the nation, with newspapers dubbing it the Farmhouse Massacre. It wasn't just the horrific murders that gripped the public. It was the unanswered questions. Decades later, the mystery of Hinterkaifeck has inspired countless books, documentaries, and discussions among true crime enthusiasts worldwide. The eerie details, like footsteps in the snow and a killer who stayed behind, fuel endless speculation. Despite advances in forensic science, modern investigations have failed to provide closure. In recent years, DNA testing on the murder weapon offered a glimmer of hope, but ultimately yielded no usable results. As time passes, the chances of uncovering the truth grow slimmer. Yet the Hinterkaifeck murders endure, not just as a crime, but as a story of human curiosity and the relentless pursuit of answers. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in history. An isolated farm, chilling clues, and the devastating loss of 6 lives, all shrouded in an enigma that continues to baffle and intrigue. Who could have carried out such a brutal crime? Was it someone the Gruber family trusted, or a stranger who disappeared into the night? Perhaps the answers lie buried in the past, destined never to be uncovered. Big Shot cocked his head at the word shrouded in mystery and contemplated the crime scene. What do you think? Could the killer have been a disgruntled worker, a spurned lover, or something even darker? Share your theories in the comments below. Together, we might bring new light to this century-old mystery. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain one of the most haunting and unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. Who could have committed such a brutal crime, and why did they vanish without a trace? The truth might never be known, but the questions will continue to haunt us. If you enjoyed this dive into the mystery, don't forget to subscribe to Shadows of Crime for more chilling stories from history's darkest corners. Drop your thoughts, theories, and questions in the comments below. Let's untangle the truth together. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.